Hey, before we get into today's video, guys, I want to make sure to let you know to hit the like button, and if we can reach 5 likes on this video, I'm going to drop a video immediately afterwards. Make sure to hit the subscribe button as well, and let's hop right into the video. So as we all know, the NBA season is right around the corner. The NBA preseason has been exciting to say the least, and with it wrapping up, we are looking forward to finally seeing some official NBA play and seeing all of those wanted superstars, besides Kyrie Irving, playing in the games for their respective teams. But with the start of the NBA season comes trade rumors that we haven't really taken into consideration before now, and either that or that have not been able to go through simply because of how the season has played out, or the off season has played out. But I took it into my job as an NBA YouTuber to let's figure that we can explore some of these possible players that are going to be traded, and really we can examine whether or not they need to be traded and what they should be traded for. And I wanted to go through and kind of talk about a few of the players that I believe could be traded before the end of this season. And let's go ahead and start off with who you're seeing right now on this Indiana Pacers team, and that would be Malcolm Brogdon. Now, Malcolm Brogdon is an amazing player. He's 29 though, and he's older for being in this Pacers lineup. As you know, Malcolm Brogdon was a second-round pick for the Milwaukee Bucks. He ended up winning Rookie of the Year, coming out of nowhere to do it as well. And he has only went up since the beginning of his career. He's averaged 20 points recently. He's done everything you would want a player to do, and then some, especially being a second-round pick. The thing about Malcolm Brogdon is he's making a lot of money, and unfortunately for the Pacers, it simply does not fit their timeline. They are no longer a contending team. Victor Oladipo had them there for maybe a year or two, but once his injuries began to pile on, they never really stood a chance in being able to win a finals or even make it into the deep playoff run. Malcolm Brogdon should probably be traded by the trade deadline. He could go to so many different contending teams and become an instant contributor on those teams. Whether that is through passing, like so turnover right there for him, whether that's through passing, defense, three-point shooting, whatever they need him to do, I know Malcolm Brogdon can do it. And I do believe that he is going to be traded simply because of his contract and the Pacers' situation age-wise. So, starting off with Malcolm Brogdon, what do we think he could be traded for? And I would not be surprised if we see him in a Ben Simmons trade. Maybe not sending Ben Simmons to the Pacers, but perhaps sending Ben Simmons somewhere else. And Brogdon's going to Philadelphia as part of a 3-team trade. That would be interesting. Maybe trading him for CJ McCollum would be interesting. It wouldn't really make sense for the Pacers. But overall, Malcolm Brogdon should probably be traded, and it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do with him before the season ends. And let's go ahead and hop into the next player. So the next player on this list is once again not a bad player at all. None of these players are objectively bad. This guy actually recently had one of the best years of his career, and you can see him right here, Jeremy Grant, who has grown so much throughout his career in the NBA. I remember back in 2K14, 15-ish, him being on the Philadelphia 76ers and only being about a 72 overall, but you knew just from his length, from how he played defense, he was going to be good. Jeremy Grant has been one of the better perimeter defenders in the league in recent years, and he's not a bad passer. He's not bad at anything, really. He can shoot now. He's improved his shot so much compared to how it used to be. Grant also has been able to, like I said, become an elite defender, great rebounder, and he is going to be a key piece in any finals run for a team. But the only thing is the Pistons don't have a finals run ready anytime soon. They're waiting for Cade Cunningham to get up and going, and Jeremy Grant does not match the timeline at all that the Pistons are looking for. And as you know, teams that have players that do not match the timeline often struggle to find a place for him to go and get anything in return, because people know, hey, you're not going to be able to keep him, so you have to move him. And in response to this, Jeremy Grant should be moved, but I believe the Pistons will try to hold on to him until the trade deadline and see how the team's doing retrospectively. I think they'll be a solid team, but overall, the Pistons aren't going to be anything crazy this year, despite maybe Cade Cunningham going off all season long. And Jeremy Grant needs to be moved. He could easily be moved for a solid young prospect or even just a couple of picks. Send him to a contending team where it makes sense for him to make that much money and be able to contribute to his team. I hope for Jeremy Grant's sake that he is able to move on, but I understand why he signed with Detroit, because he was looking for the bag, and he definitely got the bag. And I hope good things for him in the future. He's such a humble guy, and he is going to be a great player the rest of his career. And let's hop into the third player I think might get traded. So the next player on this list is not a very surprising one or a bold take whatsoever, and that is Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield has been rumored to be traded for probably, it seems like, 3 to 4 seasons now. And honestly, I'm surprised that he has yet to be traded from Sacramento. I feel like the relationship there has been dwindling down ever since he's been rumored in trades, because every year it seems like they come close to pulling off a deal. Similar to the situation with Marvin Bagley, it seems like they come super close to pulling off a deal that will send him somewhere else. It falls through at the last second, and you expect him to continue playing for your team. That is just a difficult task to ask of anyone, considering how morally defeating that is to think that the team you've played for so long is willing to just give you up for nothing in return. I know recently he had been in trade rumors for Golden State, which didn't really make sense for him at all. But it doesn't really matter where he goes. I just think he needs to get out of Sacramento for his own sake and for the team's sake. This does not mean in any way Buddy Hield is a bad player. He has been top in the leagues in terms of three-point shooting for a long time now, and he has always been an okay defender. Everything else is just average for him, but his three-point shooting is elite, and I think that warrants a big piece in a championship contending team, whether you like it or not. Three-point shooting wins you games nowadays. And with Buddy Hield on your team, you have an opportunity to kind of be able to take over three-point shooting. Now, taking into consideration what they could get in return for him, maybe a prospect, maybe a pick. He has a pretty big contract for how little he gives all around on the board. But he is still on an okay contract. It's a little expensive, but he's worth it in my opinion. So I don't think they get any blockbuster trades in return, but I do think that the Kings would be able to get a pick, maybe a pick and a prospect that'll line up better with their rebuilding terms, because we all know the Kings are not doing anything. And overall, just Buddy Hield needs to be able to get out of or Sacramento. And as you see him break Markelle Fultz's ankles right there, he needs to get out of Sacramento and just be able to flourish. And I could even see him getting to a rebuilding team, honestly, and being the number one guy and absolutely dominating. We'll see what happens with Buddy Hield. But like I said, I do believe that he is going to be a good player wherever he goes. Whether he stays in Sacramento or not, I guess he could be decent. And we'll just have to see how it transpires. And most likely wait till the trade deadline if we want to see him be traded. But for now, So the next guy on this list has been a long-time journeyman in the NBA. He spent a lot of his career in Toronto. And you'd be surprised to see him be traded other than with the Orlando Magic. Any other team, in my opinion, could use a guy like Terrence Ross, except for Orlando. Orlando kind of seems to be going back into full rebuild mode, getting Jalen Suggs, trading away Vucevic. They seem to be giving into their fate that they know they need to go into the rebuild mode. Terrence Ross, however, has been a bright spot in Orlando for a while now. He's an amazing offensive player. Defensively, he hustles and he plays decent defense. Nothing that's going to absolutely wow you. But in my opinion, I think that Terrence Ross is everything that a contender needs coming off the bench. And despite a large contract, he's not on a bad contract for his talent and what he brings to your team. I think any contender that has a little bit of cap space and has some younger prospects that don't really match the timetable should go for Terrence Ross. Whether that's not really the Nets or like the Bucks or anything, but maybe the Suns, whether that's the Suns, the Lakers, the Clippers. I could see the Clippers making a package for Terrence Ross that would really help them out in the long run. Because Terrence Ross has been an avid NBA player for a long time. He's never really been on a contender though. And I hope that one day before he retires, he's able to at least be on a decent contending team. But we'll have to see what happens with him and whether he stays loyal to Orlando, because he has been there for a good bit now. And it always seems like those type of players just want to stay loyal. But we do know that Terrence Ross can light it up, so maybe he kind of takes the star role in Orlando and helps them be decent rather than completely tank. But we'll have to see what happens with that. And let's go ahead and get into the final player on this list that I've gotten together for you guys. So the final player on this list is semi-surprising and going to be very difficult for the Houston Rockets to get rid of, and that is John Wall. Simply because they want to get rid of him, but he has a $44 million contract. He has a large list of injuries that he's always been plagued with, and he's never really been able to get it going since those good years in Washington before he got injured. When he was healthy, John Wall was a top point guard in the NBA, and that is no question. But since then, he has not found really any footing on any of the teams he's been on, Washington or Houston, and he has always struggled himself to stay on the court at all. And like most of the players on this team, it simply is a matter of fit and time scale. Simply because John Wall does not fit the time scale for the Houston Rockets. They are in complete rebuild mode. They have young guys like Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Sengun, or however you pronounce his name. And John Wall just does not fit it. I believe he's 31 now, and he is not going to get any younger. Overall, his body is just going to keep deteriorating, and I find it hard to believe that the Rockets will keep him around any longer than they have to. And I think a team maybe like the Dallas Mavericks could really benefit from having a guy like John Wall to help take some of that pressure off of Luka Doncic. He's improved his three-point shooting in recent years, and I think he could be really good alongside Luka Doncic. Now, the contracts may not line up, but we'll have to see if any team will show any interest in him, because obviously the Houston Rockets would move him at the first chance they get, at least in my opinion, if they're smart. And I think that he'll probably, by the trade deadline, be out of Houston and hopefully on a contender for his aging body to help out. And that's the end of my list, guys. Let me know what you thought about it. You may be thinking, where's Ben Simmons? I didn't include him because, it's pretty obvious he's going to get traded. He did return to Philadelphia this week. And I think that maybe Ben Simmons will get traded by the All-Star break or trade deadline. If he doesn't, he won't be in Philadelphia much longer. But it is a little interesting to see them not trade him yet. I'm interested to see how that whole situation kind of pans out. But we'll see what happens with Ben Simmons. I didn't want to include him on this list simply because he is a guarantee that he's not going to be on the Sixers for long. So I figured that would kind of be boring and tried to find some players that were a little different than what you'd normally hear. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought of my list, what you agreed about, what you disagreed about. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe and turn post notifications on so you get a notification every time I post a video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and adios.